Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Alright, now, Frost would say he was widely misrepresented with his intentions of this poem. He attributed it to his friend, Thomas. Essentially, he was saying that Thomas was the kind of guy that no matter what path he took, the grass would be greener on the other side, right? But I think that with, the last kind of sentence saying that I took the path less traveled, but that made all the difference, right? It's a more positive outlook on the situation, right? It made all the difference. What Frost failed to consider with this poem, writing it out like this, is that no matter what, you don't truly decide where you're gonna be, right? It's pretty acknowledged that he doesn't know what's on the either side of either path. Not about the way the paths look, right? Like the journey or whatever, or the destination. No matter what, none of that matters, right? It's all moot point to your place in the whole grand scheme of the forest, right? At the end of the day, you're just another person who walked that trail. And I think that that's what you're trying to say. It's not about what trail you're taking necessarily. It's about how you perceive the trail. And that's what the road less traveled is really about in your day-to-day life. When it comes to the road least traveled, there are a lot of different things you can look at, a lot of different people across time. I'm going to bring up 4 main examples today. First, it's going to be Chad Ochocinco. I'm sure you are vaguely familiar with his story, if you're at all familiar with football. Chad Ochocinco was a running back, I think, something like that. Doesn't really matter. He wore a jersey, right? And he wanted to change what was on the back of his jersey to make it say Ochocinco. Somebody gave him that idea, which is not how you say 85 in Spanish, just in case you were wondering. That's not how you say it at all. But when he got a violation for that, instead of just paying the corporation, the NFL, at the end of the day, it's a corporation. Instead of just paying them, he decided that he would change his name legally to Ochocinco. So yeah, that's who he is now. He's Chad Ochocinco. And yeah, that's why he was able to wear it on his jersey after. That's the path least traveled in a comedic example, I'd say. You can see how no one else is making those decisions, right? But hey, it worked. That's what it's all about. Another modern example I could point to would be like Kai Cenat and how he's taken over the streaming industry. You can say doing things like subathons and stuff like that are pretty familiar. But I think that Kai Cenat is a good example of how you can't just do what everyone else is doing. I mean, look at the streams he was doing with Speed, right? Where they had a full set in the background and they're like chained together, beating Minecraft together, that kind of thing. It's like the same shit, everyone else was doing it in a different way. That's the path least traveled. A serious example, you can look at the Martin Luther, the way he he took a look at what the church was doing, right? All across all of it, Europe. And he decided to create his 95 Theses. And that essentially created modern religion as we know it today. Christian religions, obviously. I think it's reflected in Western culture in other ways. Like, I think that's where the dissolution, whatever, beliefs and stuff kind of comes from, too. It's like Martin Luther saying, if you're going to believe these things, actually do them at home instead of just giving the church money for no reason, I think that's part of what his whole belief was. Personally, I'm not of a Christian faith, but I would say that it has driven a lot of subsects of Western culture, and so it definitely needs to be viewed within that lens when you're talking about what you should be doing in your life, right? Taking the road least traveled. That's what you should be doing. Another really important example of the road least traveled is Rosa Parks. Pretty classic. Obviously, she stood up, or didn't stand up. She didn't stand up. Doing what's right is the road least traveled when everybody around you is wrong. Pushing against the status quo, disrupting the status quo, making something better and new, doing what's right. When did we all forget what doing what's right was, right? I think that's an important thing to look at. The road least traveled is often, the hardest way to go, but the easiest thing, the lowest ball isn't what's right. Sometimes it is, but more often than not, it is not. There are a lot more than two choices you're going to have to make. No matter what choices you make, you must learn to keep pushing forward. You'll see others around you file in a line. Focus on what lies ahead. I wander yonder along my web. I watch my friends jump off a cliff. I watch my friends rip off their heads. I wonder why I should give a shit. You might say I'm discontent. You want to think you hath wist. You tell yourself it's not my friends. But in the end, we know it's time for something different.